Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my TBR tour. So I currently have 49 books on my physical TBR and we're going to be going through every single one of them today. Being that I have 49 books on my physical TBR, I'm going to try not to talk too much about all of them because I think this video would be like hours long. So we're going to try to like speed round through this, but of course I'll give you guys some thoughts on some of them. So I have them separated by genre right now. I think fiction is our biggest genre, so maybe we'll save that for last because there are so many books in the general fiction, contemporary fiction genre. So why don't first we start with romance, because that's always a good place to start. So first we have Message in a Bottle by Nicholas Sparks. This is a book that I was gifted and I would really like to see how I like his writing. I know that he's really popular for The Notebook and some other really popular romance books. I feel like this borders on like the general fiction, contemporary fiction genre, but I think it's primarily romance. And then we have The Second Chance Cinema, and I believe this is like a magical realism romance, kind of gives like Ashley Poston vibes, and this was one of my book of the month books from a few months ago and I thought it sounded so interesting, and I don't know, haven't gotten around to it, but I definitely want to soon. And then I actually have Pride and Prejudice, which I'm like 90% sure that this is a romance. I know it's a classic on top of everything, but I'm pretty sure this is a romance. I bought this in hopes that I'm gonna start reading classics soon. I've never read a classic before, not even in school, so I don't know if this is a good place to start, but I own it nonetheless. So I don't know. Whenever I do eventually read this, it will be in a reading vlog because I feel like that's just an experience reading my first classic that I need to document. So next, I actually don't know if this book is considered a fiction or a romance. I know there is a romance, but I don't know if it's like a contemporary fiction romance. I don't know, but I'm including it in the romance. We have Between Us by Mari McFarlane, and I don't know much about this. I believe it's just like a friend group and one of their friends like outs all of their friend groups like secrets on a TV show or something. I don't really know. I just know that I want to start reading her books and this one sounded the most interesting to me. And then next we have Call It What You Want. I own this book because Call It What You Want is my favorite Taylor Swift song, so honestly couldn't pass up the opportunity to read a book that shares the same title as my favorite Taylor Swift song. And then we have Meet Me at the Lake. Honestly, I feel like Carly Fortune just knows how to do a summer atmosphere and she knows how to write the summer setting so well. So very excited to get to this one this summer. I honestly want to read all of her books this summer. I've only read Every Summer After, so I would like to binge honestly all of them, and I cannot wait for her new release. I'm so excited. It sounds so good. And then we have Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I gravitate towards this book every fall, and now that I actually own it, I cannot wait to read it this autumn. I don't know if this is necessarily going to be a book that's for me just because of the topics and the paranormal romance aspect of it, but you never know. So I'm excited to at least try it this autumn. And now the last romance book that I have is The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. I believe this follows two roommates who have never actually met, but they start writing letters to each other, and I don't know, sounds so sweet and cute. So now moving on from romance, we have some young adult books, and I only have 3 because I honestly don't know if I've grown out of the young adult genre. I haven't been too into them lately and I don't find myself like gravitating towards them or enjoying them very much. So these are going to be like my final tests, I think, to see if I'm still into the genre, and if not, that's okay. I'm 23, maybe it is time to move on. I don't know. But first we have Betting on You by Lynn Painter. I loved Better Than the Movie so much, and also I really enjoyed The Do-Over, and I've heard such great things about this one. And then I have another Lynn Painter book. We have Nothing Like the Movies, and like I said, I loved Better Than the Movies, and so if this one does the first book justice, I think I would enjoy this. And then we have Love and Gelato, and I actually almost unhauled this and it was sitting in my unhaul pile for a long time, and then recently I was like, you know what, I want to try it. Like I want to just like read like the first few chapters when I'm in the mood for it and see if I would like it, because I don't know, I've heard such good things about this, and it takes place in Italy over the summer. And I know that it's young adult, but I think that it deals with a little bit of like heavier topics. I don't know, I just want to like test to see if I would like it. And now moving on to horror. So I only have 2 books in this category. First we have Cujo, and I love reading Stephen King's books in the fall time, usually around Halloween. I just feel like they're the perfect atmospheric books to read. So this is gonna be my one for this October. And then we have How to Sell a Haunted House, and this has been sitting on my TBR for quite some time, and I didn't get to it this past fall, but I really want to read this book. I just feel like it's like the perfect October read, so I really plan on reading it this fall. Okay, so next we have our fantasy section. So again, I only have 2 books. I'm not a big fantasy reader. Oh, actually no, wait, we have a lot more books than that in this genre. Completely forgot. So first, before I get into these, I have the entire Throne of Glass series on my shelf right now. I have it like on my main shelf, so I'm not actually gonna pull it down, but I have the entire Throne of Glass series that I have not started yet. So it's 8 books in that category. So I have all of those books sitting over there that I do plan on getting to soon, and I am gonna do like an entire Throne of Glass reading vlog start to finish. So I'm thinking that I'm gonna start eat like 1 book a month into my monthly TBRs, just so I can like get through that series, because I want to read it so badly. It's just like with all my other reading vlogs, I'm always like, oh, I don't have time. So I'm gonna start like putting them in like 1 a month or something. And then we have The Women Could Fly, and I don't know much about this. Actually, is this even fantasy? I don't even know if this is fantasy, if I'm being honest. I've always like considered it a fantasy because I believe it follows witches, but I could be wrong. Like, I could totally be wrong about that. So if I have this misgenreized, that's not a word, but whatever, I'm sorry, but I don't know much about this. I think it follows witches, I think, but I was gifted this, so I just don't know much about it other than my cousin thinks that it's really good. So next we have Immortal Consequences, and I actually started this book. I think I got like 70 pages in, and then I soft DNF'd it, and I'm not too sure if it's a soft DNF or a hard DNF yet. I believe it's just a soft DNF because I feel like I could get into it. We're essentially following like these 6 different point of views, and that's what really like confused me, and it's like an afterlife thing, and like the plot honestly sounded really interesting. I think what really threw me off was the fact that we're following 6 different point of views, and I don't know, I was getting them confused a little bit and stuff. So it's a book that I'm gonna come back to eventually, just not right now. And also look at these sprayed edges, and honestly this is one of like the prettiest book covers I've ever seen, so that alone makes me want to read it. And next we have my very tiny science fiction section. So I have 2 books, and first we have Dark Matter. I've heard such incredible things about this book from both my parents and Caitlin. I know that they both really like this book, and so I would really like to. I've never read a science fiction book though, so it kind of intimidates me because I'm not the biggest science girly, and so I don't know if I'd really like it. But I think this kind of follows like ulterior timelines, so I feel like it's not too sciencey, so I feel like I could get into it. So I definitely want to read it soon. And then I believe there's a show based on it that I could watch after. I think there is. Is there? Am I making that up? I could totally be making that up. And then the next one, this was actually gifted to me by my aunt, and we have The Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and this looks huge, but it's actually like multiple books in one. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books in one, so that's why it's like super thick. But I feel like if I'm ever in the science fiction mood, or if I can get into it, I feel like this would be great because they're like just short kind of stories, short books. So I honestly don't know much about this. I just know that she really likes it. So okay, next we're moving on to our thrillers / mystery books. We have quite a few of these because I feel like besides romance and fiction, this is probably like my most read genre. So first we have The Heiress by Rachel Hawkins. We all know how much I love Rachel Hawkins, and I'm just trying to get through her backlist right now. So this is one of the only 2 books of hers that I haven't read yet. And then we have Wild Dark Shore. This is a book that I've heard such great things about, and I'm just so excited to finally get to this. Honestly, I think about it all the time, so just really wanting to read it. And then I have Best Offer Wins. I started this, I think I got like 30 pages in, maybe less than that, and I just like wasn't in the mood for it at the time. It was during Bookmas too, so like that was a whole like weird time period. So I do want to give this another try, and I feel like if I'm ever craving a thriller, this is a good option. And then I actually found this book, Famous Last Words, at Books A Million for like $5 or something like that. I don't know if I've really heard anything about this, but I just saw it. Sounds interesting. I think I honestly might read this soon because I've been thinking about it quite often. And then this is another book that I was gifted. We have Behind Her Eyes, and I think this is like this woman like starts like following this couple or something, and she notices like weird things happening between them or something like that. I'm not too sure actually, but again, the books that I was gifted, I feel like since they're so loved by my loved ones, I feel like I have a high chance of loving them because obviously they gifted me them for a reason. So, and then also this has a Netflix original series, so I could watch that after I read the book, and that sounds like so much fun. And then I have another Stephen King book. We have Billy Summers. Again, started this before, just wasn't in the mood for it at the time, but we all know how much I love Stephen King's books, so I'm very excited to eventually get to this. I think also the size kind of intimidates me because I'm usually not in the mood for a 500-page book. If I'm ever like in the mood for this or a Stephen King book, I just cannot wait to read this. Also, okay, actually, if you've read this, please comment down below and convince me to read this because I would like to read it soon because it's been sitting on my TBR for so long. I don't know why, it just like intimidates me for some reason. And next we have Local Woman Missing. I actually got this from Christmas from Micah, and that just honestly makes me want to read it like as soon as possible. So don't know much about this, but honestly some of her other books are kind of blowing up right now. I know she has a new release that sounded so interesting, and I believe Caitlin just read this one. I think She's Not Sorry, and so I'm really wanting to read not just this one but some of her other books. And then we have Truly Devious. This book and I have a love-hate relationship because she has been sitting on my physical TBR since 2022. I need to read this book like as soon as possible, but this is like a fall time book, and I feel like every fall I'm like, yeah, like I'm gonna read this. I put it on my fall TBR. It just never happens. Then fall ends and I'm like, hey, well, next fall. But seriously, like if I don't read it this fall, I believe that I need to unhaul it because it's just been on my physical TBR for so long. So again, if you've read this book, please convince me in the comments to read it because I think that's what it's gonna take at this point. I feel like I need to take a break. That was a lot of books, and I'm not even done because I have so many fiction books to talk about now. Now moving on to my contemporary slash general fiction. These are all books that maybe they do fit in other categories, and maybe I just am unaware because I don't know much about them, but I believe they all are just in like the general fiction category. So, oh, and also I'm like kind of combining this with historical fiction because I feel like sometimes those can like cross a little bit. So this is like contemporary fiction slash general fiction slash historical fiction. So first things first, I actually have a group of Ellen Hildebrand books. I have 4 to talk about. I've recently become obsessed with her books. I've only read 2, but both of them have been like really close to being 5 stars, and I think that's such a good sign. I love her writing and her storytelling so much, so it's kind of a goal of mine to read as many books of hers as possible. So buying 4, having 4 on my physical TBR makes sense. So first I have The 5-Star Weekend, and I don't know much about this if I'm being honest. Actually, I know nothing about this. This was gifted to me by my cousin, so I didn't have to like read the synopsis before buying it, so I don't know what this is about honestly, but like I said, I've fallen in love with her storytelling. So honestly, any book that she writes that takes place on Nantucket or elsewhere, I will read. And then we have The Hotel Nantucket, which I did start a little bit of, and I just like I couldn't get into it, but I think it might have just been the time, and honestly it was sort of confusing me because I didn't understand like what the chapter titles were saying. I was a little confused, but I think it's just a book that I need to be in the mood for, and I need to like, I don't know, take the time to get into. And then I have Summer of '69, and again, I don't know what this one is about. Honestly, I really don't know what this one is about. If it's a book that takes place over the summer and it's written by Ellen Hildebrand, you best believe I'm gonna be reading it, so I don't even care what this is about, honestly. Like, can we talk about the way that most of her books line up so well? Their spines, they look so summery and they just fit so well together. Like, I just absolutely adore the spines of her books and the way that they all sit together. I do have The Perfect Couple, which does not match that vibe, but I don't know, they're just so cute. I love them, and I can't wait to read more of her books because her storytelling, her drama, her characters are just so good. And then next we have The Academy by Ellen Hildebrand. So this book, I know that there's more books coming out in this series, and that's why I didn't read it this past fall, and if the next one's coming out this fall, I could just read them back to back. I honestly cannot wait to read this because I've heard really good things about this one. So that was it for like my little Ellen Hildebrand haul. But now I have Broken Country, and I don't know much about this. I've heard such great things about it, and for some reason the cover alone is really pulling me towards it, and I want to read it like as soon as possible. Plus it's part of Reese's book club, and she always picks the best books. So then next we have The Favorites, and this has been compared to Daisy Jones and the Six. That's honestly the biggest reason why I cannot wait to read it. I've heard such incredible things about this, and it just sounds right up my alley. So I literally just got this like the other day, so that's why I haven't read it yet, but it won't be sitting on my physical TBR very long, I'll tell you that. And next we have The Wedding People, and I know this follows like a more emotional main character. I think she's going through like a really bad like mental health rut at the beginning of this, and I really love reading about mental health in books as a fellow mental health struggles girly. Honestly, so excited to read this, probably like over the summer. It gives like a really great summer vibe. Also, this is one of my favorite book covers like ever. I'm just so obsessed with it. So next we have A Good Animal, and this is my most recent book of the month book, and honestly I just saw Sarah DNF this in her recent reading vlog, so I'm a little turned off towards it right now, but obviously everyone has different book tastes, and so I'm definitely gonna give it a try, and I've been thinking about it quite often, so I think I'm gonna read this probably really soon. And then we have The Names, and I got this actually in May. This was my May book of the month book, and I just think it sounds so interesting. Again, it like follows like ulterior timelines. Am I using that word correctly? Ulterior alternate timelines. Oh my gosh, I said that earlier. I said ulterior, whatever. We're following alternate timelines, and I just think that that sounds so interesting, so I'm really excited to get to this one. And then we have 9 stories, and honestly I don't know what this really is. I don't know what genre this falls into. I was gifted this one as well by my uncle, and this is like 9 stories, 9 short stories obviously, in one little book, and it's so short, and I just feel like it'll be like the perfect like maybe palate cleanser, or if I just need a quick read. And I don't even know what genre this really falls into, but I'm excited to get to it eventually when I need like a really quick read. And then we have The Jet Setters, and this follows like a family and like family drama and stuff like that, and I'm usually really in the mood for that over the summer. I kind of like those like drama family vacation sort of books, so I'm honestly really excited about this one. And then we have A Time for Mercy, and this book I feel like is going to be so interesting. It's going to be so different from what I usually read because it follows like a murder trial. I feel like I'm waiting for like the perfect time to read this. I may also listen to this as an audiobook because since it's following like a trial, I feel like it might be really good to listen to. I don't know, but I'm really excited to get to this because I think it's gonna be so good. Like I have high hopes for this one. And then we have Tapestry of Fortunes, and this kind of just follows female friendships, I believe, and it's relatively short. I think it's like 220 pages or something, so it's really short, just like a quick read, and it's just like fiction with like female friendships and stuff like that, so it literally sounds right up my alley. And now these last 3, they like are more of like the historical fiction books. So first we have Sophie's Choice, which I was just gifted by my grandma actually, and this is like one of her favorite books, and obviously this is like a modern classic, so obviously I know that this is a very well-loved book, and I think it intimidates me a little bit because of that. But honestly I am so excited to read this because I really love books that take place during like World War II time, and I don't know, this takes place in 1947, so I don't know exactly if it's like World War II exactly, but I'm really excited to eventually get to this. And then next we have Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. I have just heard such incredible things about this. I loved The Nightingale by her, and even though I haven't read any of her other books, I really want to read more of her writing because I loved The Nightingale so much. I think that this one's just gonna be like the perfect like generational female friendship historical fiction kind of vibe, so I'm just really excited to get to this one. I think honestly the reason I haven't gotten to it yet is because it is pretty thick, and honestly I feel like going into like the very popular like Booktok books kind of intimidates me sometimes because they're rated so highly by other people, and like I go in with such high expectations. But nonetheless I'm so excited to get to this one, and it gives like the perfect like spring summer vibe, so I'm thinking I'm gonna read this one soon. You guys, we have made it to our last final book. I cannot wait to stop talking. I'm so sick of hearing my own voice. And we have The Only Woman in the Room. This actually follows like a woman who's a scientist during World War II, and apparently she knows something that can help fight the Nazis, but no one will listen to her. So this just honestly sounds so interesting. And again, I was just telling you guys I was gifted this, and then I found a card placed into it. Okay, this little note was given to my cousin, and she gifted me this book, but it said that it's an autographed copy of this. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. It's an autographed signed copy by the author. That is so cool. So honestly, this is one that I might listen to as an audiobook just because I'm not too big into historical fiction, and so I feel like this would be a very interesting, a very good audiobook for me. With that being said, these are the 49 books on my physical TBR, and it's funny because when I'm looking at them, I don't think that it's that many, but then I count up that number, 49, and I read, how many books did I read last year? Like 65, so this is like almost the entirety of an entire year's worth of reading. That's a lot. That's a lot of books. I'm on a strict book buying ban now. Like literally, unless it's a new release, I will not be going to buy any new books. So we are going to be sticking to our physical TBR. Most of my reading vlogs will be me trying to just knock down this number of books because this is just honestly ridiculous at this point. I do not need this many books, and I have such great books on my physical TBR that I know that I'm going to love, so I just need to like get through it. I need to just read the books, read the freaking books. So if you saw any on here that you have loved, please comment down below, motivate me to read them, and also comment how many books are on your physical TBR because I'm curious as to whether this is crazy or if this is normal. This is not normal actually. This is not normal. I have too many books on my physical TBR. It's kind of, it honestly kind of embarrasses me, and I kind of want to knock it down for the sake that I can say that I only have like 20 books on my physical TBR because this is embarrassing, I feel like. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys so soon. Bye guys.